But let's get into the first topic of the panel, and we're going to talk about, even though we did lose to West Ham, and no one ever likes losing to West Ham, how much did you actually enjoy that defeat? We'll start with you, Ariane, just because your post-match interview after the game was absolutely brilliant.
Look, I think, speaking of that post-match, I don't think there's ever been a post-match interview that I've been that gassed. And that is saying something if you've seen my post-match interviews. That game was just, I didn't know you could play football like that. That's my thing, right? I had not seen that happen in this first year. I forgot it was possible. It was just so, that result, I don't care that we lost because it's a preseason. That's like their third game. It was our first game. They were more fit, even though it didn't look like it one bit. They were more match fit. That was the most enjoyable performance I think I've seen in absolutely ages, really. And I think, I remember I was on this panel last time, and I don't think Simsei doesn't remember me saying this, but you can go back. The video is still up, not just the stream. And you guys said, can Spurs still attract a top manager? And that was like the exact question. And I name dropped Postecoglou. I said, what do you mean by top manager? Because you can still get these caliber of coaches. And I name dropped, I think, Ben, you were like, well, I don't know if that's a top coach. I think he has proven, more than anything, he is an absolutely tip-top coach who's going to get us playing the best football in the league, man. I'm so excited for Sunday. You don't understand how excited I am for Sunday.
Saria, that's it. After one pre-season friendly and a 3-2 defeat against West Ham, we're calling him a top manager?
Top manager, best in world football. If you can get Davinson Sanchez and Emerson Royale to tiki-taka their way all the way up to Perisic, who just barely had his cross denied by Zuma, you can do anything. You can do anything. Imagine if instead of Emerson and Sanchez, that was like Van de Ven and Porro. Get out of here.
It's over. The league will be over. Might as well give us the league now. Ash, talk to me. What are you feeling? Are you of the same thinking? Have we got a top manager here? And how excited were you after that game?
Hey, listen, we need more Arians in the world, I can't lie. He's gassing me up. Sanchez and Porro tiki-taka all the way up to the... Hey, that's mad. You know what? I'm kind of speechless. I'm gonna lie. I ain't gonna lie. But it was the thing where I felt like the team, everyone was contributing. It was like a team effort. It wasn't individualistic. People was like saying like, who's your best player? Who stood out to you? No, it was like a team effort. And I just felt the energy levels were up. I felt the hunger was up. It didn't matter who the opposition was. I think they were going to come with that same energy, that same vim. And that's what they gave to West Ham, But West Ham, obviously, they had, 4 chances in the box, and we had, 12 on target. Well, 30 to be fair, 30 chances overall. I thought that was a massive, massive leap for where we were. And passing, we just passed them off the pitch from what I saw. I was just like, I could get used to this. I'm not going to lie to you. If this is the B team, and they're moving this hard and this wicked, I said, yeah, I'm fully involved. I'm fully involved. So big up to Ange, man, for doing it so quickly. I think that's what I'm more impressed with, how quickly he's been able to get this team up to speed with so little time. So yeah, man, I'm quite excited.
And us as a fan base, we've been starved of good football, starved of anything to watch without falling asleep on the pitch for so long. Sim, is it just a case of just a bit of attacking football and then we're all fully on board?
Literally, just one attacking performance in a pre-season friendly, and in a game we lost, and all of a sudden our whole fan base is lit up in flames and in excitement. It's a sight to behold. But to be honest, I haven't seen us play like that in possession. Even under Pochettino, the possession-based football, it was more about the pressing that excited us fans under Poch rather than how we would play in possession. And you can already see the imprint Postecoglou is having on this team, and it's hard not to get excited with the new potential that we have with a lot of our players, people like Lo Celso and some of the other midfielders like Basuma as well, who maybe under previous managers who had different ideas of football weren't kind of right for those managers. But now under Postecoglou and in a more attacking system, all of a sudden it opens up all these new potentials and opens up completely different avenues that we can use these players. And it's hard not to get excited by those potential, those prospects. But it's just about the amount of chances we created, how we were able to keep the ball, how we were able to pen West Ham in. I put out a tweet yesterday as well. We made 685 passes during the game, which is nearly 100 more than in any game under Antonio Conte last season. That goes to show how different the approach is going to be under Postecoglou. And if this is just the start, I'm really on board for what it's going to look like, in a few months' time, once the players get even more used to it. And how it's going to look, and it's just going to make it's going to give an air of excitement to the season. You got to remember as well, no European football, these players should have that extra time on the training pitch to really get up to speed with Postecoglou's way of playing. And this is where not having European football is going to have its benefits with how we're going to with how we're going to build a structure on the ball, and how we're going to build a structure on the training pitch, on the tactics. So I'm super excited. Just on the little evidence that we have of what Ange ball is going to look like. It's hard not to. It's just a breath of fresh air. Let's be honest. It really is. And like players picking up the ball in between the lines, like even like small things like throw-ins. Under Conte, the ball would go out of play, and then you get a fullback. Like you have to wait a minute for the wing back to go and get the ball, and you to throw it back in the play. Under Postecoglou, ball goes out of play. Whoever's nearest to the ball on the touchline throws it back in as soon as possible. No screwing around. Just intensity, keeping up the pressure, and it's just little things like that just get me excited.
Yeah. Do you think like the way that we are set up and the way we're playing, even with top defenders in, do you think early doors we're going to see a few maybe batterings against us because even like just in the setup, the way we were just flooding forward every time West Ham came back the other way, we just had no numbers and we were being outnumbered on the attack, on the counter-attack. Do you feel like maybe in the early stages of the Ange Postecoglou era we might receive a few batterings, Ariane?
I didn't feel that way. I don't think, when they got the ball, I was feeling any sort of like, danger. I think, they enter, especially the second half, they got in our half like once and they capitalized.
Yeah, I was talking more of the first half.
Yeah, I think the first half, the issue with that is you had definitely, Reguilon had a really poor showing, and so did Tanganga, really. And even defensively, you want to say Poro. I think there's just three players who didn't have the best defensive showing. And I think that's really all it came down to, because in that second half, you saw a team, I think maybe there was more, I don't know if they had worked with Ange longer or whatever it was with them, but they definitely looked like it was more kind of up their alley. And in that performance, and that is like literally our B team. So a lot of people are like, oh, well, you beat West Ham's youth team. That was like whatever we had Devine on. What is he, like 16, 17?
18, I think.
No, there you go, 18 now. I'm used to those FA Cup like numbers, but point is, like, you had literally our fringe squad. Some of these players I didn't even know could kick a football, and they were playing this absolutely brilliant football. So I think in that second half it showed that even under the early stages of Postecoglou, we're going to still just be suffocating a lot of these teams, even if they have these chances on the counterattack, which is basically how we used to play all the time. I think we also have kind of that memory of that football only works if you have a Harry Kane, or if you just have some of these players who can make something out of nothing. But generally, like if we're playing like that against Bournemouth or West Ham or especially these lower mid-table teams, I think we're going to suffocate them. And that's one thing that we've always been missing. It's always against these lower table teams that we seem to struggle with the type of football we're playing, because they're so suited to playing against teams like that. They love sitting back. They love being able to be hard to break down. And that's exactly the kind of football that you can't play can't play against if you're playing counterattacking football like Conte was. Maybe I think the only kind of thing that scares me is you have two teams. Really, it's the two at the top, unfortunately, Arsenal and City, and the way they play, they've done it longer. They have a more polished squad that's built more towards it. Those are the games that I'm looking out for to see what happens, because against City and Pep, we've had this juju for like 4 or 5 years now, where because we sit back so much, we're able to hit him really hard, and it always works against him. And you know, Arsenal have begun to play the same way, and I don't know if this new kind of football that we're trying to emulate them is going to hurt us or help us. You know, because Arsenal did the double for over us last time, and now are we going to be able to, because we're emulating them? They're playing against a different beast. Can we take them out? I hope so. But those are the games I'm really keeping my eye on. But like Man United in the second game of the week, I'm so unbelievably excited for that. And Man United is honestly one of my least favorite fixtures. Besides that 6-1 win we had recently, I hate that fixture because I always feel like something. It's almost like Liverpool, just quite not as bad. I always feel like something happens to us. We have like, what was it? Conte. We had the away game at Old Trafford, and that was the game under Conte where you were like, this is not working out, and that is just. There's always these moments at Old Trafford. I feel like where against Man United, you just have these like realizations with Jose. It was a game. I think it was like a 3-1 loss. Conte, Nuno. It's always something against Man United. But this time, I'm so excited because the way they play versus the way we play, I think is made for us to win, and it's something I'm really excited to see. So even in the early stages, I think Postecoglou has shown he can create a team that's ready to win, not just play pretty, ready to win.
Love that. Absolutely love that. Ash, if we do get these centre-backs in, or even just one of Tapsoba or Van der Ven, what do you think Spurs can achieve this season?
It's a good question. I think we can still achieve quite a bit in terms of the implementation of the style that we're trying to get across, getting used to like the patterns of play and just getting that rhythm, that overall Ange ball, that attacking football. Because with a centre back, you're able to do the high line, and someone that might have a bit of pace might be able to recover the ball a bit quicker. And one of the defenders might be able to sit as one pushes on a little bit more. So we're not getting caught out when balls are going over the top or balls are being played through where teams want to counter attack us. We've got Brentford coming up. Obviously, that's going to be a big part of their game. We saw it with Thomas Frank when he was playing against Mason. Mason was trying to do attacking football, and then he tweaked a couple things, and then before you knew it, we lost that game, even though we're at home. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with a new defender, because a new defender, they haven't come on tour, whoever they are. So they're going to miss that kind of bedding in periods where they get used to their teammates. They kind of have that conversation with the goalie, because some of the goals that went in, that has to be a communication between the goalkeeper and the centre back. So the centre back needs to be close to the near post if the keeper's not claiming it. And then at the same time, I was a bit worried that the keeper wasn't commanding the box. So it's food for thought. It's something that needs to be looked at. And we conceded 63 goals last season against like the bigger teams, especially like Liverpool. They're going for a rebuild, and they're going to have a lot more pressing. They're going to be high pressing, going back to the old school Liverpool, because I feel like their midfield was aging last season. I think they've addressed that, and so you might see players like Alexander-Arnold and you might see Robertson turn back to fullbacks or wingbacks, sorry, bobbing up and down, because their midfield is going to be able to press a lot more. So I don't know how we're going to fare when it comes to teams that want to press us. West Ham didn't press us in that game. I don't think Leicester will press us either. So when teams aren't pressing us, of course it's going to be easy. Of course we're going to have time on the ball. We're going to be able to find those killer passes and work teams, and it's going to all look pretty. But what happens when you come against teams that are quality, and they're going to have more chances on the ball, and we're going to have less possession as well. It'll be interesting to see what happens when we have less possession, what we do, how we press without, because the thing about Celtic, one thing I did realise, they did dominate bigger teams, but it was just that killer instinct. They weren't finishing teams off. And I did notice that even though we had a lot of possession, we had a lot of shots on target, off target, we lacked that killer instinct. So that's something I'll be looking at for Spurs this season.
All right. I think it's safe to say that we're all very excited here, and the Ange Postecoglou era is up and running.